I don't know. Just looks decent. Go live, public. I think we are ready to go live. You're live. That's awesome. So, what we did and this is this is the response we get from fetch URL, and when we pass the URL, and the entire thing is completed in file. And one more thing which I want to is def p and clojure pretty print, and yep, I think we already have that function defined. And let's go to hacker news. What I want to test, how we gonna story link. Okay, so that's easy. So for that the query will be story link. Story link will be a class, so we have to, can we do that? And yes, I think we can do that with tags. Yes, we can. With it's a keyword and we can use that. So we also want to, okay, with the title we probably wanna get href and the title itself. So for title we will call I think let's look at the documentation. Current viewers, we got one viewer, I don't know. And yeah, let's see. CSS def template UG edge parser XML. Is there any way we can specify the selectors? Old stuff, concepts. Okay, so we got one viewer, right? So now I need to find a way for, I need a way to select the title. It's probably not gonna work, and let's try grab, and grab URL, and let's assign URL content to HTML. We are already importing as HTML, so let's say could be data response, or more like a response, but now we have data, so we are no longer requesting this resource. So grab, and what we want to grab, probably let's try this. We will grab storyline. What was the name? Grab story link, and we will get first story link. Okay, so in that we probably can get title and also the href. Interesting, but is there a exact way to get it? Probably not, right? So we have to extract the information from that. Yeah, probably, because anchor tag is so connected with. Interesting. So we have this title query. Is there anything else we want to grab? Attributes, so extra information. Interesting. Okay, so we let's imagine a interface where we simply treat that and get this. Okay, so let's look at doc. I have already built like let's go to GitHub doc and your profile chat rate is 0. I think we are the viewers. Playbacks, I don't know. Average watch time 1 minute. Current chat rate. Interesting. Never mind. So I have this repository where I keep track of trendy repos from Bitbucket. Sorry, GitHub. And okay, so this is like a complete different interface. So probably not. And we need a way to like get extra data. So could be like points and comments. Interesting. So I was thinking like, let's imagine what we have. We have like I think most of the time I want 2 or 3 things. One, podcasts, right? So things like defen clojure podcast, and it's on SoundCloud. If we can like try to scrap these links and go to tracks, yeah, sure. So one would be like age, when it was posted, and I think that's not my concern as of now. So we do have, which is extra data, and it could be like random, and we don't know. For any website it could be like anything different, so we don't know what we're gonna use. For example, in this case it could be this text, like when it was posted. Yeah, like for the defen probably, I think for podcasts it's mostly be just their ID and the text, and for anything else we might have some extra metadata, so forget this. So we have defined URLs. The next thing we're gonna do is to generate those pages. Now also we have to like, we found a way to like request, right? And we need a way to like parallelize our crawler and threading, lightweight threading. I think there is a clojure async library, asynchronous programming, 500 commits. Interesting. Code.async, yes, this is exactly documentation. Doc. Yeah, that is fine. Okay, so who is watching our stream? Let's go to profile. Okay, so 1 person is watching, that's good. Clojure namespace, yeah, sorry, code.async, blog post, source repo. Okay, there is a video communication processes, I think. Okay, so go while true times who this Let's see event listen. I think threading model in Go is super easy, and goal blocks are dispatched over an internal thread pool which default to 8 threads. The size of this pool can be modified using Java system properties, and we really don't care about it as of now. Go block best directory post announce score async. Okay, let's see. It's very tempting to do the following: to send a message without waiting for a reply. Although Go blocks are cheap, they aren't completely free, though it's recommended to use async put instead. It isn't a downside. So HTTP call, load URL, underscore construction, and so I think what we are looking for. So let's design a pipeline. So we have this URL, right? And next step would be, are we going to generate the whole URL beforehand, or are we going to just simply pass it in? My function channel map some channel do see this works just fine. Why is this? Best explained for why string. I think let's build a simple URL. Let's see, for example, URL, and what it will do. First of all, I think we have to iterate over URLs, right? So and let's do this in main. Well, we don't really care about arguments. I don't know if they are required, but let's ignore that. URLs, println. Okay, so let's define a main. Define main argument list should be empty, and then we define a new block, and in here we have URLs, so we will simply call main from main. Okay, so for map URLs, and what we gonna do? Map URLs, scrap, scan, crawl, define, crawl URL, and it's gonna take this map object. Okay, so when we iterate over map, let's see what we get. So args, do we get index and value? Well, and let's print that. And let's call main. Okay, so wrong number of argument. Okay, it expects one argument, so it probably don't really get the value, I think. Or does it? Probably not. So I think we have to define an array, but I think it will be much nicer if we could just do that way. We have to see. I think let's use a vector. I think it will add more of like, so what we can do is like, so if I like define it as a vector, so yeah, like if I define it as a vector, then I have to like, I think I just want to keep it as map, and probably grow like this, and it should be, it will be like more readable for me. Instead of like defining vector for each time, I want to define a new element. So let's get rid of that and get one value. Let's print that value and call main. Okay, so that's interesting. Like when we call map, we get first index. This language is kind of strange. Like, so I'm not sure if I think that's well thought out stuff. I haven't seen anywhere else where you just get a vector if you pass a map. Now that is super cool, if you ask me. I'm impressed. So can we destructure like that and get a domain, or maybe domain and args, and let's try to print only domain. I'm not sure if it's gonna work, but let's try that. So let's call main, and we do get it, so it works. So this is how we're gonna destructure it, right? So, and let's close that. And what are we gonna do now? We're gonna call a method which is build URL. Okay, that is interesting. Should we do like should we build all the URLs? I think let's for now just create URLs, or more like pagination, build create pages. Let's call create pages, and it will take domain name and argument, right? So is there any way in Clojure to like have these and also the whole map, which I think that would be entry pattern, right? So let's call it a entry, right? We will call it entry and pass this entry, and we'll call, okay, what we do next now, create pages, we call entry, and first is domain name, so let's create a let, right? And on entries call first, because yes, because we get a vector back from Clojure, and so yes, and on entries we call first and call it as, we also have to convert it from keyword to a string, so we will call str. So let's call string method on keyword test, Okay, now we don't want that. Instead we will call name, and if you just call name on keyword you get test back for now. So we also want to use a protocol HTTP. Yes, so now we get the domain name str and protocol HTTPS. Yes, and do we want to add a backslash? Not yet, not yet. And we will call convert it to name, and domain URL, let's call it URL, and let's print this URL, and create URL, right? So let's load those functions in REPL. Okay, so we missed something. We missed a parentheses. And load this one too. So domain name should be entry. Current viewers, never mind. Create page. Okay, so what do we do next? We got the create page, right? We wanted to test. Let's call main, right? We create entry, we call main, and we do get the full URL now. Okay, so name first entry, and max pages, pagination. Now let's build the pagination for URL. Let's queried get query, and it's from pagination. Why not destructure it? Domain orgs. Can we pagination do structuring like that? I'm not sure, but we might want to see if we could do that. And I think let's Google that. Clojure destructuring. I think there was a blog post about destructuring in Clojure, and it was like a complete guide. Destructuring. Yeah, there is a cheat sheet. Okay. As nested. What does it as means? Oh, I see. So with as you can also embed everything. Nice. AB. Okay. So when destructuring in map, you define where the value will be assigned and the keyword. I see. So I think it will work, right? It should work, I think. So let's print this out, and we don't call first now, and right, so we just use domain and define URL, then we get the pagination. Let's see if it works, and it compiles. That's even fun. Now let's test it out. So yes, kind of works. Pagination, we get query. So query, and we also have to, okay, why not append it just in here, right? Why not just do that? Is it too long? Yeah, who cares? I think we are fine. So we got the URL, and if we define it like that and call main, yes, we do get a correct URL. Now what is left is building the pages. So we want to build like from 1 to, so we probably don't want to use 1. Okay, what if there is a starting point of 0, like for example, now this is page 1. For some websites there will be page 0. So how are we gonna handle that? So default page or starting page will be 1, right? So they have a starting page of 1, which is, let's call this a 1, and let's see what's home page. Okay, so we don't want to do that, because if the URL does not have anything, we simply just want to run the current page, and we don't want to scrap or anything. Like, then we build a query URL, and we want to append this to URL str, right? And now this is okay. So now we want to build the range. Define pg range we will use for pagination, right? So query URL, it will take URL and page, max page count. And how are we gonna do that? So I never used for loop in Clojure. Let's see if I could solve this with for loop. I think it's not a loop, or is it? Take vector, takes a vector of 1 or more binding. So okay, what it does, it iterates over. Do we have a range function in Clojure? Okay, so we do have that. So range 10, so 0 to 9. So I think we probably want start and right. So we want to start and end. So we want that. Now the issue will arise when somebody is using a different offset, so we might want to add a callback. Instead of calling this function, we might end up calling a custom callback to generate URLs. Yeah, I think that could be a fix. So for most of the website, I think this will work just fine. And let's see, podcast, never mind. So let's get back to the code. Start and end. Pagination page. So let's say page information. Nav we could, should we call it nav or pagination? Navigation, I would say nav would do fine. Navigation, right. Domain name, nav, query URL, print URL. Okay, let me grab water. We'll see. So I'm back. And we're gonna build the range. Let's assume for, if you pass in range from 1 to 10, so we have to press that. Starting point, end point, and we plus 1 in end, right? So let, and should we just directly call for, because we are just gonna, yeah, we should be calling that. For XYZ. Can we run a function? Okay, so in for, I think okay, so for takes a last thing as expression, and we can call anything inside it. Range, and page. Then next thing we call expression, and expression we build string URL plus page. No, actually it's not that, right? So let's see if it works, right? So page range, and URL, let's assume for this google.com, and starting is from 1 to like 10. So, and let's call it P, right? So we do get all the pages now. So google.com page 1, 2, 3, and do we get to the 10? Now that's fun. And it's super simple, right? We simply call for and then we provide a function. I mean, I have built like this scrappers in Go and Java, and it's super easy. Like, I don't know, I think in short amount of in this short code we have gotten so far. This experience is kind of like new for me. This is my first time using any Lisp, so I think so far I'm like super impressed by Clojure, but we will see. I mean, if it's really that good. People are afraid of parentheses, I think. And yeah, it's a language. I mean, we kind of have like different problems, like everyone has different problems, and they are more concerned about other things. So we get the page range, and we simply call the page range create URLs, and we give URL, then we destructure navigation and give start nav. I guess it's, I mean, when I access things like from keyword macro, I think it's super fun. Like, there is no assigning, and okay, that is strange. So, and nav, I would probably disable that plugin. Session, disable all notification for custom directory. Period. I think now we should get URLs. Let's call main. Okay, cannot cast string to ifn. Okay, so did we create page entries? String URL page. So there is something wrong in here, and that is obvious. We are calling this thing because URL is string, and in Lisp anything that that is starting thing, like this is a function and it's an, we can't call it, right? So let's say we can't call string, right? Can we call keyword? The wrong number of argument. Okay, so keyword is a function and it takes obviously a map, right? So is map a function? I think indeed it is, like test. Wrong number of argument. Okay, so I think it will need a keyword test. Okay, I see. or maybe this. Interesting. Vector is also a function and you can access by 0, which is not available, but if you yes. So this problem is fixed, right? And we should be able to evaluate that. Now let's call main. Okay, so we get an error. Printing returns value null pointer exception. Where that could be. I think let's evaluate everything. Page range, start, end. Okay, maybe URLs need an update. And URLs also, let's call main with update URLs. Let's call main. So I think the error was we were calling why we are not getting query. So I think we have to pass this query URL instead of yes. This should fix the issue. So it kind of fixes it. So I think the issue was like the last error where we got exception, the print return values, the null exception and number of OPS. I think it's related to, I'm pretty sure it's related to this. So we were we were loading the old URLs and we changed the indexes, and we are using a plus operator and it blew up, but it could be a range function or a plus operation. So now we got the URLs. Now what I wanna do, we simply want to like fetch URL. We can say request resource, and then we grab the title, right? So one more thing, we are getting an array back, a nested array. Right, and why is that? Let's see. In here we get this page range, let's say PG range, got empty two pages, and as of now this is fine, right? So probably in let create pages, create entries. Okay, we should be getting a nested array, nested map, nested list, because this structure is nested in here. Like the entry thing, once we add like multiple entries, there should be multiple, so that multiple like URLs that we're gonna build by this. So I think that is fine. Entry URLs, no message from stream, average wait time. I think we hope we are not watching our own stream. I'll close it out. Now what would be our next step? Should we like request the resource, or so I have to like figure out whether we wanna like store in database all the content or in simple hidden file, and I haven't decided. Like, I mean, it could grow, but I think storing everything in database would be like too much, since I'm gonna only keep it for so I think we can throw JDBC, but then we have to add migrations. Then also with that, the issue is like we have to like manage also the database settings, migrations. I think we will just store in a simple hidden file. So let's create a new folder, storage, database, database, and so should we like store all the URLs? Let's reload this. So so eventually we were the one who was watching our live stream. So should we store like all the URLs in one place or have a different files for each? So I think it would be like in for news.eden, and for for anything else I would be like yeah, so one for news, one for podcast, and then one could be for anything else. I think we will do that. Also, I'm gonna close this stream now. We will continue this later on. I will push it to GitHub probably. I'm not sure whether I want to push into GitHub, but yeah, I think overall experience using Clojure is like it's super rapid to like. I think code is super short, and in so far I think we only I think I can't come to any conclusion. Like, we haven't tried it really that hard. Like, for I think I can only judge a language after 3 months of heavy use, so we will see.